Shyla, and the other players that, you've been talking about arriving late?
Astu is here.
Okay.
We expect Ruthie to get in tomorrow, I think. And we expect Snoot and Allie to get in on Wednesday.
Okay, and when you say Stu's here, she's like with the team, like she practiced today?
No, she has to go through protocols, testing protocols. Yeah.
Got it. And then quick follow-up, in the second week of training camp, does the goal focus shift at all as you work your way through week 2 and prepare for preseason against Indiana?
I don't know. Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Just asking if the focus shifts at all in week 2 of training camp as you get ready for the 2 preseason games against Indiana.
No, it's purely about us. I think the games just tell us where we are, but it's nothing changes.
Got it. Thank you.
Eric Wilson.
Coach, good afternoon. Appreciate your time. How are you?
Good, man.
So, kind of following up with that, you're going to be in a very unique situation given that some of your players won't be able to play in this preseason game. When you look at the squad as currently constructed, what are some of the key things you're going to be looking for before you make your decision to trim your roster?
Well, I'm going to look at the activity. The energy is the main thing. Like we're really good on people not disrupting like the good energy that we have and the way we play. So I'm going to be looking on what's going to help our energy. The ability to process information and to apply it right away. That's something that's going to help us because it moves us along. So those two things are probably the main thing. And of course, you're going to always have to incorporate what kind of talent that is and how it complements the talent that we have. So it's going to be a little bit of all those things.
Gotcha. And then with preseason matchups, are you going to, your essential starters, are they going to see a limited amount of action depending on how the game flows?
No, I mean, it's strictly going to be like an evaluation period in these 2 games, especially with us getting everybody in and not having all of our bodies to be able to like work on as much chemistry things as possible. But it's going to be evaluated to try to fill out our roster and see what complements us. So it's purely going to be about us and how the talent that we have can work together.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Jamal Collier from the Tribune.
Hey, what's up, James?
Hey, what's up, man?
I want to ask you about Candace and Diamond and kind of just the potential of that pairing, whether it be in pick and roll or just playing off each other as such. Just what do you what do you think about the potential of those two and maybe already working together? Kind of how have you seen their chemistry start to develop?
Well, it's actually pretty cool because you have 2 players that complement each other. As far as both of them are playmakers and both are willing passers. Diamond is a good cutter and Candace is a good passer on the move, especially high-low passes to players that cut. Candace handles the ball in transition and Diamond likes to run in transition. So you'll see a lot of plays go over the top where Diamond gets open layups and Diamond attracts a lot of defense. And so when she's, rejecting screens or getting out of screens and she, brings the defense with her, then you have Candace wide open with a player that's helping, that's closing out to her. And so she'll always have an advantage. So we think those things complement both players and it'll liberate them to get easy baskets and also liberate them to find their teammates.
Have they, what have you seen from them? It's probably obviously a limited time on the court together, but like, do you see some chemistry starting to develop already kind of naturally with them too?
Yeah, everything I just said.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
Dorothy Gentry.
Hi, Coach. Thanks for your time today. I want to ask you how the addition of Candace Parker makes this a better team, not just on the court, but off the court in terms of her veteran experience, her championship experience, her basketball IQ. How do all of those things off the court help make the Chicago Sky a better team?
I mean, the fact that she's willing to share it, so all those experiences and those leadership qualities, and she's able to like share her experiences and like Candace has always been a player and a person that's willing to pay it forward. So her sharing her experiences with the younger players who are willing, learners and, open to, hearing everything that she says. And then, her being able to teach them certain things that, sometimes coaches' voice is too much. And, sometimes they need to hear from players. And the fact that she's been a leader and she's had to carry a team on her shoulders for so many years, it only helps them out for players that are, equally as motivated and what's the word? Give me a second, you guys. I said motivated, right? I did say motivated. Whatever, motivated. For the players that are just as motivated and want to attain to get to that level, to have somebody there helps them a lot. I'm going to think of this word before we get off the phone.
Word later, I'm not sure.
I'm going to think of this word before we get off the phone. Yeah.
Okay.
Owen?
Hey, Coach, thanks for taking the time. So I was curious about something you said the other day where you were like, last year we peaked a little early and you'd obviously rather peak late. And of course, like injuries were a major part of that. But what goes into it at this point, especially with like a short training camp of kind of building that like longevity, the long view where you're like, all right, we need to sustain this and not, come out of the gate too hot and fizzle out.
I think it's more of just having a plan. And if you don't see what you need to see early, it's okay. You just have a plan and try to get to those places along the way. Like today, it's a couple of things defensively we weren't able to put in. And we'll put them in tomorrow. We'll put them in a couple of days. And making sure that the things that we didn't like today, we can do them again tomorrow. And then we'll add what we want to add in a little bit down the line. Because we're not going to be complete at this point. Also, the fact that we have a more veteran team and you don't want to, kill their legs so early and, just compound that with a lot of other things. So, yeah, I mean, like we started off, hot last year, but we also are mindful of the fact that a lot of those games that we won were 1 possession and 2 possession games. And, and sometimes you tend to, get what you want to get from them, but the sense of urgency is not the same as after losses. And we want to make sure we keep that same sense of urgency, even if we win, but it's the way you win and how you win. And even after wins, we can't be satisfied, but it's going to be more about how we play than what the results are this year.
Thank you.
Jason Palmer?
Hey, Coach James, good to talk to you.
Talk to you too, man.
All right, a couple questions for you. Just looking forward, you're opening the season. Your first 2 games are on the road against Washington and Atlanta. How do you turn that into an advantage in terms of helping your team to gel on the road those first 2 games to open the season?
It's just about us being prepared. It's the fact that we just even get to play basketball. And sometimes when you go on the road, you kind of bond really quickly. This is basically a new team with a new dynamic, especially when you change players at the top like we have. And so being able to get them out on the road early in the season and have them spend time with each other outside their normal and habitual elements can help bring the team together. And I think, that offers us that opportunity.
My second question in regards to the Olympics, which are still scheduled to take place this year. Obviously, that would be a big break in your schedule if it does indeed happen. I know you got to be kind of fluid about this, but how are you trying to plan to utilize that time when it would come kind of in the middle of your season? And if the Olympics don't happen, then what do you have? Because that's a whole different dynamic as well.
We're planning on it like it's going to happen. I don't see why it wouldn't if everybody's being responsible. Which I tend to lean more on the positive side of but we plan like it's going to happen because right now in the public eye it is happening. So what we're doing is we're going to give them some sort of break and we're prepared to do individuals and whatever we need to do to make sure that they're fresh for the final run.
And final question is, one thing you do know for sure is that you will be playing at Wintrust this year. Can you tell me just how big it's going to be back at home and eventually getting some fans there in Wintrust to help the team out as well?
So we're happy to be playing in Chicago, and playing in front of fans. Like that was something that was sorely missed last year. So we're excited about it. Like we're excited and just to have the fans there cheering us on and being in Chicago is going to be great for us.
Thank you.
Dan from the Tribune, Dan Weiderer.
James, on the topic of Candace as a teacher and a player who's willing to pay her knowledge forward, I'm curious how you would describe the reverence she has from her teammates, particularly the younger ones.
She's a legend, the thing that I think she's one of those people's champs. And I think you have players like that. You have NBA players, you have WNBA players who probably are more criticized in the public eye from media standpoint, and but from the players, they're more adored and they're more When we interview Ruthie, when we talk to Z, you ask them the one player that they look up to, and they're going to say Candace, and that's what they told us. So for them to have the opportunity to play with her, it's special, and she's still at the top of her game, and I just think that she's one player that's going to she's one player she's one player that by the players in the league because they watched her growing up and they've watched how she's matured into an MVP and into a champion and how she came in the league as an MVP. And so those are like your measuring sticks, and I think that's how players measure themselves. They want to get to that status. And when you think of status, you think of her.
Do you remember the first time you ever heard of Candace Parker?
Yeah.
When was it?
Well, I heard of her in high school. I got a chance to see her live when she beat J.R. Smith in the dunk contest. So that was, the first time I actually saw her. It was whenever she was in high school.
Yeah. What do you remember about that experience, the dunk contest, and just having your eyes opened at that athleticism at that age?
I was like, why did J.R. Smith go for that crazy dunk? I was like, she's gonna win. Like she's gonna win. And and when she won, I was like, man, she's here. She's here. And I was so happy that she was committed to Tennessee because I'm a Tennessee guy and I love Pat Summitt. So she had a fan in me at that point.
Thank you.
James K.
Hey, Coach. I was just curious if you could give us a little insight on, as Shyla awaits to get to training camp, I'm just curious, is there anything that you're giving her as maybe homework, if you want to call it that, just to prepare for the season as the season opener approaches less than 2 weeks from now?
No, they asked me some stuff that she needed to work on. And I told her, some things that she needed to work on, what we were going to expect from her. And, now is, I don't want to put too much pressure on her and get her overly anxious. I just want her to work on the things that we said, and just when she gets here, we'll break her in like we're doing everybody else.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Well, two more questions with James. Casimo?
Hello, Coach. How are you?
So, Casimo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. So I believe you don't have your full guard rotation right now because Shala still has to get there. And also you're missing Sloot and Quigley. So, but you've got almost all your bigs, I believe, or I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, we still have Ruthie that, you know, has to come, and
Yes.
Astu has to pass through protocol. So once we get those two, we'll be fine.
Okay, but you got like a lot more pieces than in the backcourt. So how are you gonna, you know, move them around, and what are the best combos so far, and what are your plans with the bigs? Because you've got some interesting combinations to try out, I believe. So.
Well, the only ones that are, you know, actually in practice right now, Z and Steph and Candace. So, you know, that because we don't have Ruthie and Astu through protocols yet, they can't be on the floor or they can't be in practice. But we'll figure it out. You know, we'll figure it out how we're gonna put them together. Like the end goal is like, you know, we're all one group. We're all one team, so you know it's and up to this point, the post players that we have on the floor, they all love playing with each other, and they all feel good and feed off each other. So once we add the other two players in, I mean, we'll be fine. I don't know what combinations is going to work best. It's still early, but we expect that they're all going to be playing with each other at some point, and you know we'll figure out. We call those rich people problems.
Okay, we'll see in a couple of weeks then. We'll see what happens in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in a couple of weeks, Cosimo. If I, you know, if I have an answer for you, you can ask that question over again. It's not a bad question. So,
Okay, I'll keep asking during training camp.
As time goes, you know, I'll probably have a more in-depth answer for you. But right now, that's what.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Coach. Have a nice day.
All right, you too, man.
One more, James. Edwin Garcia.
Thank you for talking with us today, and happy Monday.
Thank you, man. Happy Monday. That's a great opening.
Wonderful. So I have actually a question about Candace Parker. She's played with the same team, you know, her entire career, and she was under Derek Fisher as the head coach of the Sparks last season. So what do you think is the biggest transition for her in terms of the LA Sparks' offensive scheme and the schemes you run here with the Chicago Sky? What does she have to do differently here than she was being asked to do with Los Angeles?
I don't really think she has to do anything different. Like she is who she is, and we're going to support that. So we think that the way she played complements the way we play, which is a lot of movement, a lot of cutting, quicker decisions, and things of that nature. So I don't think she really has to change too much of what she does. Maybe she'll be in some different spots sometimes, but the way that she played in LA, she'll get to do the same things where she likes to get the ball when she likes the ball. I think the difference is that she's probably going to have, you know, as far as our guards and are concerned, she's probably going to have as many decision makers on the floor as she had there. She'll probably have just as many or more with us.
Sounds good. Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Continue to wear your mask. Continue to social distance when you can. And continue to think about other people when you're doing it. All right. Talk to you soon.
We'll have Diamond DeShields up in a minute, and then Candace. Hey, Dee, thanks for joining us. We'll start with Eric Wilson.
Diamond, how are you? What's going on?
Hi, Eric. I'm good, man. How are you?
So I got to ask you a question. So last week, there was the whole Kalia being unstoppable and James was the only one who could guard her. So I want to get the real story from you. Like, what went down? Did James really guard her, or did she back off, or what happened?
I mean, James tried to prove a point by saying that he's the only person in the gym that can stay in front of Ka. And Steph was like, do it. And so he tucked his whistle in his shirt and, he gets in his little stance. And I think to validate his point, Ka let him get the stop. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. So along those lines, I definitely want to ask you, how are you feeling? Because you left the wobble a little early last year. Definitely want to get your mental state as far as playing with Candace while the rest of the team is coming on and just kind of getting into your rhythm as you prepare for this season.
I'm good. All is well. All is well. I've been practicing pretty well. Feel like I'm pretty much, back to who you guys know and are familiar with. And as far as playing with Candace, it's just been a joy. It's been all that, I expected as far as just being a leader, being vocal. She's very patient with us and, just teaches us each and every chance she gets. So, it's great to have somebody like that around.
Appreciate you. Thanks, Diamond.
Holly Rowe. Hi, Holly.
Hey there, how are you? Hey, Diamond, just wanted you to how are you? I like that smile. I'd love for you to kind of walk us through your off season and how you approached training versus playing and getting ready for this season.
Ooh, the off season, it really wasn't a day that I wasn't doing something. Honestly, it was a lot of work. I worked really, really hard this off season just to get to this point, to be able to, step on the floor confidently during training camp and compete. So, I was cross training a little bit with boxing, but I was always in the gym. No matter what city I was in, I was always in the gym, and so I was able to spend time with a lot of great trainers, Alex Bazell, Tyler Ralph, Jeff Pagliocca here in Chicago, and Tay Grace. I mean, I had a lot of people help me. So, I'm very thankful to have had that support throughout this process because it was a really challenging offseason for me. But I'm here.
Thank you.
Annie Croswell.
Hey, Diamond, thanks for your time. Two quick questions for you. First, as you enter this season after your exit from the bubble last year, what is your focus as far as taking care of yourself, both mentally and physically, to make sure you are, the best version of yourself on and off the court?
I say my focus is just being consistent, consistency wins. So even on days when I don't feel like, where I'm tired, maybe I'm in pain, I'm sore, just being consistent in what I've been doing, trusting my work. I put so much work in now. It's like, you got to trust it now if I start playing. So that's really it.
And then second question for you, James talked about how your game and Candace's complement each other. And, through this first week and a half of training camp, I wonder what you feel like you two are going to be able to accomplish together, given the fact that, your game really suits each other so well.
Yeah, I mean, it's always great when you have a post player that's a willing and able passer. But Candace, she's just a playmaker. Like, if she's not passing, she's doing something else with the ball that just is amazing. So I have no idea what we'll be able to accomplish. Obviously, there's only one thing that I want to accomplish, and that's for us to be holding that trophy at the end of the season. So as long as we're doing that and everything else that falls in between, I'm okay with it.
Awesome, thank you.
Cheryl Rice Stout, WBEZ.
Hi, Diamond. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just peachy. You mentioned the trophy. Do you get the feeling with the moves that were made, especially with Candace and some of the other moves, that this team has all the parts to hold that trophy?
Of course. I mean, honestly, I felt like we had the pieces before the moves. You know, like Candace is just making it that much more of a possibility. So yeah, you know, I feel really good about our team and what we have, what we're going into the season. Well, obviously we have to figure it out, but what we have, and you know, I don't see why not.
One of the aspects last season that you needed to work on collectively as a team is defense. How do you see the defense coming together in training camp so far?
Oh, the defense looked good. I mean, they introduced a lot to us early. So there's definitely like an adjustment period that we all had to kind of allow ourselves to go through. But the defense looks really good, very disruptive. It really complements who we already have on our team as like the athletes that we have on our team. So, you know, I think defensively, you'll definitely see a different Chicago Sky team.
Thanks. It's great to see you back.
Thank you.
Dan from the Tribune.
Diamond, I was curious, when the first time in your basketball life, when you became aware of who Candace Parker was and how old you were and what your thoughts were?
The first time I became aware of who Candace was, I was in 5th grade. I want to say that was when she was a senior in high school. And my mom went to Tennessee. So a lot of her track teammates and stuff all keep in contact. And one of her best friends who ran at UT, there was a newspaper clipping of Candace. She just arrived to Knoxville. And it was just this big picture of her, but it was just the back of her jersey. And she was like looking out into Thompson Bowling. And like, that was the first time that I became familiar with who she was. And at that point, you know, she became my favorite player and someone who I aspired to be like. So, yeah.
As a teammate now, what do you see about her passion for the sport and her passion for sort of paying her journey forward to teammates?
What do I see? It's less of a seeing thing, it's more of a feeling. You know, I think like I'm big on energy. So it's like you can feel the love and the passion that she has for the game. Her energy kind of just finds its way to spread throughout the gym. You know what I mean? In a positive way. And I think that she's well aware of that, the capacity that she has to influence like the environment. And so she does a really good job of just staying positive and being encouraging and being a leader.
Thank you.
Dorothy Gentry, the New York Times.
Hi, Diamond. Thanks for your time. Hope you're doing well. Just a couple of quick questions. Do you have any personal goals as you return to the court for yourself, as far as, you know, physically and just making sure that you're good to go? Maybe some things you want to accomplish coming off of your injuries, one. And then two, after the events of last year and the bubble and everything, injuries as well as what was going on, you know, social, you know, justice wise and all of that, has anything changed your perspective on basketball and its place in your life?
Yeah, I say I definitely have personal goals. You know, I want to get back to being the best player on the floor when I step out there. As far as like awards and accolades and all that, I'm really not set on any of it. I just want to win a championship. And as far as my perspective shifting, of course, you know, you get to be surrounded by so much violence and hatred, trauma, you know, I just start to look at basketball as a tool to be able to make an impact towards those things. So yeah, it's definitely helped me not take the game so seriously. You know, we were talking about it earlier, Candace, James, and I, you know, some people just freak out about like missing shots or making bad plays. And then you got, you know, some people that are trying to find their next meal, you know, and really struggling with real life situations. So like, this is just a game at the end of the day. It's a game that I enjoy and I work really hard to be at the level that I'm at. But, you know, I definitely can say that I've had a change of perspective just in the past couple of years.
Thank you.
Edwin Garcia.
Hi, Diamond. How you doing this Monday afternoon?
I'm good, Edwin. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. So I have a question actually about the Commissioner's Cup. With so many changes, you know, this season's closer to normal, but obviously we're still very much deep into COVID protocols and things of that nature. And we see the NBA trying out this play-in tournament, and some people like it, some people don't. What do you think about the WNBA kind of experimenting with this Commissioner's Cup and this competition within the competition during the regular season?
I don't really have too many thoughts on it. I'm all about playing basketball, you know, so more basketball is always fun. And of course, there's money involved. So, you know, I'm not too upset about that either. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, I think I'll have a better opinion on it after it's done. And hopefully we're a part of it. So,
And thank you.
Jason Palmer.
Hi, Diamond. What is it going to take for this team to bring the first championship in this franchise's history back home to Chicago? And how would it make you feel being a part of that team to make history here in the city of Chicago? Because you know we love our sports teams here.
right. It's gonna take all of us doing some things that make us very uncomfortable. You know, I feel like it's gonna take everybody stepping outside of their comfort zones, and buying into what James and the rest of the coaching staff have for us, and believing that we can do it. You know, we have a great team. You know, there's no doubt about that. But, you know, you still got to go out and do the work. And I talked about consistency earlier, and I think that that's going to be a big key in how we pursue and attain, you know, first championship for not only the Chicago Sky, but for the city of Chicago. We want that just as bad as the fans do, just as bad as the city does. So we're going to do everything we can to get that done.
All right, I appreciate it. We're all happy because we're getting Justin Fields, but we're going to be pulling for you all too, okay?
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Diamond. Thank you so much.
I'm done.
You're done for right now. Yep.
Oh.
Candace, welcome to your very first media bell as a member of the Chicago Sky. We'll start with Annie Costable.
Hey, Candace, thanks for your time. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
Everybody has spoken about the immediate impact you've made on this team, but I wonder what has impressed you about this team this first week of training camp.
I think just how comfortable people are with just talking and being receptive, but also giving advice. And just the communication, I think from my point of view of being new to a situation has been unbelievable. Just everything that is expected of me and of this team, I think is communicated well and is understood on both lines of communication. So for me, I think it's just, sometimes that's the thing that takes the longest is communication. And it seems like we're right there.
And then quick follow-up, James talked about how well you and Diamond complement each other. And I wonder from your perspective, what you feel like you two are going to be able to accomplish together. And is there any former teammate that you can compare, yours and Diamond's, how well you work together? If there's a former teammate, you could compare that dynamic to.
I would say Diamond is one of those players that she reminds me a lot of myself, just personality wise at that age, she has this attitude and this air about her, and I respect the hell out of it. I love how she competes, and I don't think she realizes how talented she truly is. And it's going to be fun to continue to grow and play with her. On paper, we could be unbelievable. I keep telling her, we got to actually do it in real life. And with that being said, I think just in terms of her athleticism, and I know everybody's talking about on the offensive end, but defensively, we could disrupt some people. And I think that's what I've tried to say is, yes, offensively, I think it'll come with time and timing, but defensively is what I don't think people are talking about and what we could actually do. In terms of a player, I would say that probably would best fit my, in terms of teammate wise was definitely Christy Tolliver. I think our pick and roll and how she could handle and shoot and high IQ and things like that. Different players, obviously, but I think in terms of just the impact that from paper to actually doing it, it could be with me and Diamond.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Cheryl Rice-Dow.
Hi, Candace. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you.
What do you have to do to transition to a new team? What type of tweaks do you have to do your game, or do you not have to do much?
At this point, being here on day one of training camp, I think is a huge advantage. I'm able to learn all the plays and, walk through the defensive schemes, and everybody's doing a good job of communicating with me of what's expected, from the entire team. And then individually, I think when you come into situations, the best thing to do is just be yourself. And that's what I try to do. I'm energetic, I'm talkative, I'm competitive, and that's what I bring to the court. I'm a big communicator, and, I have questions. And so I think they've really done a good job of just welcoming me and encouraging me to be myself.
Training camps are kind of like putting a puzzle together, putting the pieces together, and you don't have your backcourt yet. So at what point, does it become comfortable for you as far as a training camp?
You know what they say in terms of, sometimes it's better when somebody gets in foul trouble or you're put in a situation, a late game situation you normally wouldn't be in. You see who kind of rises to the occasion, and you kind of learn how to adapt. And I think that's what we're doing right now. We're all learning each other. I don't know what it's like to play with Sloot. I've played with Allie overseas, but I don't know what it's like to play with Sloot. So I can imagine how much easier it's going to be when she gets here. And so sometimes you have to do things hard. And I think it'll make us appreciate, how great she is.
Thank you.
Zachary Draves.
Hey, Candace, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
Awesome. I just kind of wanted to ask you, just sort of right off the bat, what does it feel like to be coming back to Illinois and playing for Chicago?
It feels great. My mom cooked for me through training camp. I had breakfast with my dad the other day. He's watching my dogs when I go to TNT. It's unbelievable to be back home. I think just that nostalgic type of drive past Portillo's, or I was downtown the other day and just driving and seeing the skyline and going to past Soldier Field. I'm a huge Bears fan, so I think it's just amazing from that point of view. But from basketball, it's just, I don't know if it's really hit me yet, that I'm actually playing for the team that, I grew up down the street and started really playing basketball. So it's been special so far.
That's awesome. And then just a quick follow-up to that, given your veteran status now, what advice have you been given to the newcomers to the league thus far?
It goes fast, there's a lot more years behind me than there are ahead of me. And there's a number of things that I wish I would have done. And I know there were vets that I had that told me, and everybody can take their own path. So I think it's just, my advice is just take care of your body, put everything you have into it, because you never know what's around the corner. Don't get comfortable. Always be comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's the biggest thing, because then that's a challenge and you're getting better and you're growing. So I think that's my biggest advice to the newbies.
Thank you so much, Candace, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Time for 2 more questions. Holly Rowe.
Hi, I have 7 million questions, so I'll try to limit it to 2. That concept of being comfortable, being uncomfortable, like what have some of your thoughts and feelings been as you pack up your life in LA and what you bring with you to this new experience, and how are you being comfortable with all the new?
That's a really good question. I really am at a place where I'm okay being where I'm at, and it hasn't always been like that. And I think now I'm comfortable. It's difficult. My daughter is still in school back home, so I don't think this is quite home yet until she gets here. But I think this time is good. I'm able to really focus on basketball, and I'm focusing on training and what I'm eating, and, work and things like that. So I think you go into every situation excited, and there's very few times when you get to this point in your career where you're experiencing something new. And so I don't take for granted this new opportunity, this new experience. Sure, it's hard sometimes, but I enjoy it.
And then my second would just be, what have you done to be in shape and ready for training camp, and kind of the extra stuff you've been doing while working and doing all of this?
Well, I'm on the WAFs a lot. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. I'm on those WAFs like all the time, just continuing to be strong and, centralized and, as explosive as I can be. And then I've just done a lot of cardio. I lived on the cardio machine. I didn't really take off after the bubble. I started working out immediately because my body is such that, like, if I stop moving, it takes a lot to get it back moving again. So I really just try to stay in shape with that. And then once I moved into basketball, it was like, all right, let's go. And so you kind of got to listen to your body. That's the hard part for me, Holly, is listening to my body, because I'm like, I want to go and I can fight through pain and whatever. And at this point, it's like, you don't need to do that. So I think I've been smart with my conditioning and trying to get in shape, but also smart with listening to what my body has to say.
Thank you.
Last question, Annie from the Sun Times.
Yes, sorry, quick follow-up. Obviously your schedule, you are nonstop. So I wonder if you could, share with us a little bit about how you are balancing, being back in training camp and everything that you're doing with TNT and Turner too. What is your day-to-day like?
Oh man, it's it's day to day, I would say. This is my last week and a half working, because I work through the NBA regular season, and normally it doesn't overlap, but because of COVID, it overlaps. So I was doing NBA TV 2 times a week. which was difficult with training camp, just because NBA TV get off at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we have training camp to be on the floor at, like, you know, working out at 8:30, 9 o'clock. So that's tough, but I've gotten through that part. I have one more TNT in Atlanta, which I'll fly out tomorrow morning, you know, after testing and workouts, and then I'll fly back early Wednesday morning. So I don't miss anything, and the coaches are amazing. They're, you know, allowing me to continue to do that. So I just try to stretch, try to, you know, keep my body healthy, because I think that's the biggest thing, is just, I'm concerned more about that. The sleep I'm used to, you know. But yeah, so that's it. And then next week, after that, I'm done come the WNBA regular season starting.
So that transition from that flight to training camp the next day, you say you're good on that sleep, but how challenging has that been to, pop off a flight and you have training camp the next morning?
I've done it all year. I always work out whenever I get to the hotel. Like, no matter if it's 20, 30 minutes. I always like to move after flights. So you know, getting here, getting my body warmed up, doing my bands and things like that, and getting into training camp, I think it prepares us more for what we do during the season, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we do. We hop off a flight, practice, then we play the next day. So this is kind of a precursor, I guess, for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thank you, Candace.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.